You think you know Florida. Beaches, theme parks, retirement communities, alligators in parking lots. Florida has a reputation for weird, and it has earned it. But most people are only seeing the surface layer, the tourist-facing weird. Underneath that, Florida has been quietly collecting genuinely strange stories for over a century. A man who built a castle out of 2.2 million pounds of limestone, alone at night, for a woman who never came. A hotel you have to scuba dive into. An entire town of certified psychic mediums 50 miles from Disney World. A cult whose messiah was swept out to sea by a hurricane. These are 8 of the most unusual places in Florida that actually exist. Let's start with a love story that went very, very wrong. Number 1, Coral Castle. In Homestead, Florida, there is a castle made of 2.2 million pounds of limestone. One man built it alone, mostly at night, in secret, over 28 years. His name was Edward Leeds-Calnan. He was 5 feet tall, weighed 100 pounds, and had a 4th grade education. Engineers who have studied the site still cannot fully agree on how he did it. The story starts in Latvia. In 1906, Leeds-Calnan was engaged to a 16-year-old named Agnes Scuffs, who he called his Sweet 16. She called off the wedding the day before the ceremony. He immigrated to America, settled in Florida, and in 1923 began carving a monument to her out of limestone he quarried himself. He called it Rock Gate Park. He worked only at night, built lookout posts along the walls so no one could watch, and refused to explain his methods. In 1936, he moved the entire castle 10 miles north to Homestead, piece by piece, alone, because development was getting too close. The average stone block weighs 14 tons, some weigh 29, heavier than anything in the Egyptian pyramids. The centerpiece is a 9-ton gate so precisely balanced that a child could push it open with one finger. In 1986, it stopped working. 6 men and a 50-ton crane removed it. Inside, a metal shaft through the stone, resting on a truck bearing that had rusted out. His tools were salvaged car parts, nothing electric. Today, it is a tourist attraction in Homestead, on the National Register of Historic Places since 1984. Agnes Scuffs never came to see it. She stayed in Latvia. There is no evidence she ever knew it existed. Leeds-Calnan died alone in 1951 of a kidney infection. $3,500 was found in his tower. That was everything he had. Number 2, Jules Undersea Lodge. There is a hotel in Florida where checking in means putting on a wetsuit and scuba diving 21 feet to the bottom of a lagoon. It is the only underwater hotel in the United States. It has been there since 1986. The guide goes by Wolfman. Pizza is delivered underwater. The structure started its life in the early 1970s as La Chalupa, a research habitat off the coast of Puerto Rico, funded by NOAA. 50 scientists conducted 11 research missions there, studying marine ecosystems from depths of up to 100 feet. When the program ended, the habitat was relocated to the Emerald Lagoon in Key Largo, and in 1986 reopened as a hotel, named Jules Undersea Lodge in tribute to Jules Verne. Guinness World Records confirmed it as the world's first entirely underwater hotel. Guests enter through a moon pool, an opening in the habitat floor that stays dry due to air pressure. You swim up through the floor into your room. Inside, 2 bedrooms, hot showers, a kitchen, Netflix, and Wi-Fi. Toiletries cannot come in. Pressure changes will cause containers to explode. In 1995, researchers inside conducted a live communication with astronaut Mike Gernhardt aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour, still operating at Key Largo, about 70 miles south of Miami. Overnight stays run upward of $800. Day visitors can dive in for pizza. A government research station sunk into the ocean in Puerto Rico in the 1970s, moved to Florida, and converted into a hotel where you swim to your room and eat pizza with a man named Wolfman. Florida somehow made that a romantic getaway. Number 3, Casadaga. About 50 miles northeast of Disney World, down a few country roads, there is a 57-acre town where most of the residents are certified psychic mediums. Not hobbyists, certified, ordained. They live there year-round in Victorian bungalows draped in Spanish moss, and they will tell you what your dead relatives are up to. It has been operating continuously since 1894. The town was founded by a trance medium named George P. Colby from Pike, New York, who claimed his Native American spirit guide named Seneca told him to travel south and establish a spiritualist community in Florida. Colby deeded 35 acres to the Southern Casadaga Spiritualist Camp Meeting Association in January 1895. The movement had grown after the Civil War. More than 500,000 families had lost a son or father, and a significant portion of the country wanted to believe communication with the dead was possible. By 1922, the camp had a hotel. Casadega means water beneath the rocks in the Seneca language. Roughly 44 homes on leased land. Residents are certified mediums. Tarot cards and crystals are for the commercial businesses outside the camp's 2 white entrance pillars. The hotel is allegedly haunted. The bookstore sells t-shirts, where Mayberry meets the Twilight Zone. It is still fully operational. Mediums offer readings year-round. There are 50 million people within a day's drive of Casadega. 50 miles from the most manufactured place on Earth, there is a town where people have been talking to the dead since before Disney existed, and it is still doing exactly what it was built to do. Number 4, Corishan State Park. In 1869, a physician from New York electrocuted himself during an alchemy experiment, blacked out, and upon waking declared himself the Messiah. 25 years later, he led his followers into a Florida swamp to build the New Jerusalem. They believed the earth was hollow, that humans lived on the inside of it, and that their leader would live forever. He did not. His name was Cyrus Teed. He renamed himself Koresh and built a religion around cellular cosmogony. The theory that humans live inside a hollow sphere, with the sun as an electromagnetic battery at the center. In 1894, he moved followers from Chicago to Estero, Florida, to build what he envisioned as a city of 10 million. Peak membership, 250 people. The Corishan Unity ran a bakery, a power plant, a printing press, and an arts hall with Shakespeare. Performances. They provided electricity to surrounding towns before it was widely available. 7 women called the Seven Sisters governed daily operations. The community practiced celibacy as a path to immortality. A population strategy with obvious limitations. Teed died in 1908. His followers placed his body in a bathtub and waited for his resurrection. Officials eventually forced a burial. In October 1921, a hurricane washed him into the Gulf of Mexico. The last surviving Corishan, Hedwig Mickel, a German Jewish woman who had fled Nazi persecution, deeded the land to the state in 1961. She died in 1982. Today, Corishan State Park in Estero is open for camping and kayaking. 12 original buildings still stand. A man who promised immortality died in 1908. His body was eventually swept out to sea. The last member of his church died in 1982. Today, it is a state park. You can camp there. Number 5, Weeki Wachee Springs. In 1946, a former Navy man who had spent World War II training underwater demolition frogmen drove out to a spring in the Florida scrubland, looked at the rusting refrigerators and abandoned cars floating in it, and decided to build an underwater mermaid theater. His name was Newton Perry. His idea worked. Perry rigged hidden air hoses in the scenery so performers could breathe underwater while doing synchronized ballet, eating bananas, and drinking soda, all while smiling at an audience through glass. First show, October 13th, 1947, 18 seats. The spring sat on a nearly empty 2-lane road. When performers heard a car coming, they ran to the highway in their bathing suits to flag drivers in. By the 1950s, Weeki Wachee was one of the most visited tourist attractions in the country. 500,000 people a year came to watch. In 1959, ABC purchased the attraction and built a 400-seat theater embedded 16 feet below the surface of the spring. They developed full theatrical productions performed entirely underwater. The Wizard of Oz, Snow White, Alice in Wonderland. Girls auditioned from as far as Tokyo. The mermaids took etiquette and ballet lessons and were treated as celebrities. Elvis Presley visited. The state of Florida took over Weeki Wachee Springs as a state park in 2008. The mermaid shows still run. The mermaids still breathe through hidden air hoses. The 400-seat theater is still full. Florida runs a state park where the main attraction is women in fishtails performing full musical productions in an underwater theater. The state has owned it since 2008. That sentence is completely true. Number 6, Devil's Mill Hop. Outside Gainesville, there is a sinkhole 120 feet straight down and 500 feet across, with a rainforest at the bottom. 12 waterfalls feed it. When early settlers found bones and fossils at the bottom, they named it after the devil because they assumed animals were being fed into the earth like grain going into a mill. Florida sits on limestone that has been dissolving for millions of years. The Devil's Mill Hopper formed when underground caverns collapsed, exposing over 100 feet of rock layers. Fossils found inside: shark teeth, marine shells, extinct ice age animals, confirmed that Central Florida was once a shallow seafloor. Tourists have been coming since the 1880s. The state bought it in 1974. The sinkhole is far enough down that the temperature drops noticeably as you descend. A microclimate forms inside, cool, humid, subtropical, completely unlike the dry scrubland at the rim. The walls are covered in ferns and mosses that do not normally grow this far south. From the floor, you can look straight up through a hole at Florida. State Park, open Wednesday through Sunday, $4 per vehicle. Local joggers use the 232 steps for cardio. A rainforest at the bottom of a hole in Gainesville has been attracting visitors since 1880. Most people who live in Gainesville have never been. The devil, as far as anyone can tell, has not claimed additional livestock in recent years. Number 7, historic Haley Homestead. In Gainesville, there is a plantation house built in 1856 where the family wrote over 12,500 words directly on the walls, in almost every room and every closet, for reasons that have never been fully explained. Some of the entries are mundane, some are funny. One reads only, "The house was briefly alive." Nobody knows who wrote that one. In 1854, the Haley family moved from South Carolina with 56 enslaved laborers and built a 6,000 square foot plantation home in Alachua County. The cotton operation failed after the Civil War. Somewhere in those years, someone started writing on the walls. The oldest dated entry is from 1859. 7-year-old Benjamin Haley wrote his name in the trunk room. The current theory, Serena Haley kept a journal but ran out of paper and started writing on walls, seed order forms, and steamship schedules. The habit spread. The entries cover household records, growth charts, jokes, and guest lists. One reads, "A girl can flirt, a girl can dance, a girl can play croquet, but she cannot strike a match on her pants because she is not built that way." Another records that 22 rats were caught on December 29, 1889. Plaster removed from one wall revealed additional writing hidden beneath. The homestead is open Saturdays and Sundays, $5 per person. The writing has not been cleaned or restored. It is exactly as the Haley family left it. A plantation house turned tourist attraction because a family could not stop writing on their own walls. 12,500 words. The reason why, still unknown. Number 8, Robert the Doll. In Key West, there is a doll inside a locked alarm case surrounded by apology letters. The letters are from visitors who photographed him without permission and went home to find their cars broken down, marriages ended, or, in at least one account, themselves struck by lightning. His name is Robert. He is 40 inches tall, stuffed with wood shavings, and has been causing problems since approximately 1904. Made by the Steiff Company of Germany, the same company that invented the teddy bear, and according to their own historian, never intended as a toy at all. He was window display. He ended up with a Key West boy named Robert Eugene Otto, who went by Gene. Gene renamed the doll Robert. When anything went wrong, Robert did it. Neighbors reported seeing the doll move between windows. Family members reported 2 voices from Gene's room, Gene's and a smaller one, Gene. Grew up, became a respected artist and architect, and kept Robert in a special room in the turret of his home at 534 Eaton Street for the rest of his life. He died in 1974. Subsequent tenants reported footsteps in the turret and furniture rearranged on its own. In 1994, a woman named Myrtle Reuter donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum, saying he had been moving around her house at night. She died a few months later. Today, Robert sits in a locked alarm case at Fort East Martello Museum in Key West. Apology letters arrive daily from around the world. Car accidents, canceled weddings, job losses. Gene's former home is now a bed and breakfast. You can still stay in the turret room. Robert has been in Key West for over 120 years. He has outlasted his original owner, the woman who donated him, and several museum staff members. He has a wall. Florida has been quietly collecting these stories for over a century, and most of them are still right there, open to visitors, a short drive off the highway. From a hollow earth commune to an underwater hotel to a plantation house that would not stop writing on itself. If you know a Florida place that belongs on this list, put it in the comments. And subscribe for more stories like these. There are a lot more where these came from.